Hi guys, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Kumi. I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this lovely bubu using Mikado fabric. So there are two types of Mikado. There is a mirror face and there is a normal face. This right here is a normal face. It's a little shiny. I guess I'm just lucky, but it's a normal face Mikado. As you can see, my fabric is folded into four. This is going to be my shoulder line and there is no opening there. That's because I won't be joining my shoulder. If you come to this side, you would see that I have four pieces, further indicating that my fabric indeed is folded into four. The next thing I'll do is to mark the half of shoulder measurement of my client. Our shoulder is 16, half of that is 8. I marked that. From that 8, I marked 4 and then I located the midpoint. From that 4, I marked another 4 inches. I won't be marking the midpoint of that one. I will mark the third 4 inches and then I will indicate the midpoint of that one. I will extend the shoulder measurement of my client, which is 8. I'll mark it right there and I'm going to connect. I'll mark the 4 inches, indicate the midpoint, which is 2 inches, and I will connect like this. This I will be doing all the way to the hem of this fabric. I'll come to this side. I will extend the second 4 inches, just that this one will stop at 16 inches. 16 inches is my client's waistline. How did I get that? Our under bust is 14, so I simply added 2 inches to 14. That gave me a half length, which is also referred to as the waistline. So I'm going to indicate the midpoint, as you can see, and I'm going to connect. This look a little slanty. I'm just going to confirm. This is where the 16 inches is. I'm just going to redraw. So everything I did right here, I will do it on the other side. Can you see? I'm just going to confirm the measurement for you. So this is 16 inches. Like I told you, it's the half length. And this first line, which is the widest, is our shoulder measurement. Half of our shoulder measurement. Ours is 16. Half of that is 8. Then I marked 4 inches from that 8 inches line. I extended the 8 inches line downward. I extended the midpoint of that 4 inches and then I extended the 4 inches line all the way to the hem of the dress. Like I said, this is 16 inches our waistline. The length of this dress is 55 inches. I simply added 0.5 inch for hemming allowance. I'll be using a bias strip to finish it. That's why I just used 0.5 inch. So we have drawn our line on the right and on both sides. So we are just going to flip it right here and do everything that I did on that side right here. I don't know if you understand. The two sides where we walked the other time are now inside, while the sides that were formerly inside are now outside. So we'll be doing everything we did on that side right here. Can you see? So I walked on the left and the right side as well. So it means I did this drawing on four different places. If you check the shoulder, you would see that it's a continuous line. So this is our shoulder. The next thing I will do right now is to insert the neck measurement. I'll be using a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of, should I use 7? I'm contemplating between 6.5 and let me just use 7. So the neck depth of the back is going to be 1.5. So neck width of 3, neck depth of 1.5 for the back neckline, neck width of 3, and the neck depth of 7 inches for the front. For the back, it's just going to be one circle, but for the front, the neckline is divided into two. We would first use a neck depth of 3 inches and make a curve right there before we proceed to slit whatever we have left all the way to that 7 inches that we previously marked. So my client likes big hairstyles, so I want her to be able to wear this without any glitch. So other than that, I would have just used maybe like half inch, the depth of half inch for the back neckline, or even 1 inch. So I'm saying the neck is a little wide because of my client's preference. So for the back neckline, I will cut the two pieces together, like the front and the back. I'm holding four folds. But for the front neckline, I'm going to put my hand in between and cut only the first two pieces of fabric, which is the front piece of this dress. I hope you understand. Please don't be confused with our markings. I consider it as a simplified way of cutting and sewing this dress. So you're just going to open it up like this. Don't forget, this drawing should be in 4 places. Can you see? So this is how to stitch. That midpoint, which is 2 inches, will be at the midpoint by the time you are stitching. This is how to stitch. You go ahead and stitch on this line all the way. It's a continuous sewing. You know, we do not have shoulder. We are not going to join the shoulder, rather we do have a shoulder. So you just continue your stitching till you get to the hem of the other side, and that one that stops at 16 inches, you stop your sewing right on that 16 inches. I hope you understand. Can you see? Look at the midpoint. So do well to give the center piece of your fabric a very good press. It's going to come in really handy for you. Can you see the back? This is why you don't need to join it at the shoulder. It's a continuous sewing. So you are going to fold your neckline like this. It was previously folded into 4. You will fold it into 2. So this is the piece of fabric I will be using. It's a plain and pattern, so I picked the pattern one. You can also use brocade for this. Just going to ensure it is well positioned, then I'll go ahead and secure with my pin. So you may find yourself spending a little bit of time right here, because it really has to align, the neckline has to align with the pattern clothing you are using. And also don't forget that that part where you slitted in the at the front neckline is not expected to align with the with your pattern fabric. That we cut away 0.5 inch from there, right? So it is not expected to align. I mean, at that point you are also expected to trim off the pattern fabric. So I have carefully pinned this all the way. Can you see that I also have half inch here, right? Can you see? So I'm just going to, meanwhile this lace is aligned, I didn't trim anything off right there. I'm just going to carefully trim it off. Like I said, you might spend a little bit of time right here, but it will be worth it afterward. Go ahead and secure like this. I'm just going to reposition it for you to see. Can you see the slitted part? I'm just going to make this about 2.5 inches wide. I'll go ahead and mark that all the way to the end. So from the end of that V, of that slit, I'm just going to mark 5 inches downward. I'll come in by 2 inches and I'm going to give that region a slight curve just for the fun of it, actually. And then I'll come up by 1.5 and I will slant it like this. I would like to eliminate the sharp edge right there. Yeah, so I'll trim it now. When I'm done trimming, I will go ahead and iron a cotton stay on it. I've done that, as you can see. The next thing I will do is to place the right side of my pattern fabric on the wrong side of my main fabric. So I'll be pushing it inside. I'll go ahead and secure with my pin all around, after which I will stitch with half an inch. So I'll go ahead and stitch. Don't say because your main fabric is strong you will not iron interfacing on your pattern fabric. You also need the pattern fabric to be stable. Trust me, you don't want to stitch it without interfacing. It's really stressful. This is me trying to notch. Do well to notch that V part very well, like really close to your stitching, so there will not be any bulginess right there. So I'm just going to push it right. I'm going to bring every corners right out. Bring every corner right out. If you need to trim, you can trim, so your fabric will not be bulging or it will not be too thick at that region. Ensure that the pointed part of your pattern fabric is placed on the midpoint of your main fabric. That's one way to know that it is well positioned and that it won't be slanted. I've stitched with about quarter of an inch all around. It took a little bit of my time. This is a delicate work, so this is another part where you might really need to slow down a little. It will really test your patience, especially with the curves, with the slant, few areas where we slanted and all. You will really need to slow down at that region. It can be frustrating if you are not patient, but at the end of it, you see it's something achievable. So I have folded into four, just as we did when we were starting. The next thing I just want to do is to give it a little bit of shape, or should I say to cut down a little bit of excesses from this fabric. So I'm just going to carefully pin all around and then place confirm our measurements. Remember, this line is the half of our shoulder measurement, right? Like I said, our shoulder is 16, half of that is 8, so you should have 8 after stitching. This is 8 inches. From that 8 inches, remember that so it is from these 8 inches that you will now place a sleeve length. So I'm going to mark a sleeve length right here, and I'm going to give it about 1.5 inch sewing allowance, or should I say hemming allowance. So I'll bring my measuring tape right here and measure all the way to the preferred sleeve length. I have about 20.5. I will insert the roundness of our sleeve. I'll be using 17. Half of that is 8.5. So I will just give it 0.5 inch sewing allowance. That makes it 9. I'll come to this line. I'll mark 1.5 inch, and then all the way to the sleeve length I have like 9 inches, so I'm going to mark 9 inches downward. But a simpler way to achieve this is to just mark 1.5 inch at that first point, then come down a little more and mark the another 1.5 inch, then go to the hem of the dress to confirm. So remember, this is the one this is the first 4 inches that we mark. This is the where the line finished, right? This is where the line ended, right? So from that line, you are going to mark, this is the first 4 inches, mark the second 4 inches. This is the one we won't be splitting into two at the middle, you remember. So mark the third 4 inches. This is the one we will split at the middle, right? So it is after that third 4 inches that you will now mark 1.5. Do you understand? So it is this line that you will now connect upward. This I consider to be the easiest way to get a straight line. Like I said, this is round of arm preferred sleeve length plus half inch. So I would place that right here as well. I'll mark 9 inches. This is the half inch for sewing. I'm just going to connect like this. I hope you understand what I just did. Right here, don't forget to always secure with your pin. Right here, I will come down by 2 inches and I'll give it a slight curve. So, I've had to refold on and on. So, I'm just trying to feel the fabric with my hand to see if I have 4 layers there. Do you understand? I've opened it several times and I trust it must have adjusted. So, I'm just going to feel it. So one way to only know is to see how thick it is. Of course, you should be able to differentiate between when a fabric is folded into two and when it is folded into four. So I want to cut now and I don't want a situation where the front piece is now bigger than the back piece. So I'm just going to, you may have to spend a little bit more time here as well, trying to confirm left and right. Is my fabric equal? So look at what I have right here. At this point, out of fear, I'm just trying to see what I have because I'm about to cut and I can't afford any mistake. So what I have right here multiplied by 4 gives me 52. Meanwhile, my client's hip is I think 41. So it means I have enough it's enough for a hip and I also have enough ease. So I'm just trying to confirm my measurements left and right, trying to secure. By the time you stitch yours, you cut and sew yours, you will really understand what I'm saying. The fabric is now is it won't be entirely flat like when we started. So you really need to secure it with pin. You will need to double check, confirm your measurement, on and on. So I'm satisfied now, and as you can see, I'm cutting. So when you are close to there is a stitch that went all the way to the hem of the dress. There is one that stops at the waistline, right? So when you are getting close to that waistline, you will need to put your hand underneath this fabric to push the second flap. You will push it away from your scissors so you don't mistakenly cut that. This is what I'm talking about. This second flap, you will need to, so I'm trying to use my hand to push it. Can you see? Before I started pushing, it was facing the right. So I'm just going to push it such that it will now be facing the left. When it is adequately done, your fabric will be flat. Can you see? If not, you will mistakenly cut this flap that I'm holding. Now you can proceed. You can see that the fabric is flat now. I'm just going to trim all the excess. The space I want between the second flap and the armhole is 1 inch, but I made it 1.5 because by the time I hold half-inch seam allowance, I will eventually be left with 1 inch. I also exaggerated the round sleeve, my client's round sleeve. It's not a fitted sleeve. So I have come over to the waist, to the waistline. That's 16 that we marked the other time. I'm just going to come down by 1 inch. This is where I'll be placing my client's pocket. Give that region a notch. Come to the hem of the dress. I will be using 6 inches. You can use whatever you want. I will come in by half-inch. That half-inch seam allowance, I will come in by it. If you are using 1 inch seam allowance, come in by 1 inch seam allowance and start your curve from it. At this point, be sure that your four piece of fabrics align. Do not be tempted to trim anything off your gown length. If you are sure that at the point of initial cutting it was equal, don't trim again. It's a trap. So I won't be trimming. I'm just going to ensure they align. I will secure with pin. I will curve and I'm going to trim out. So I'm just going to remove my pin. This is the M, guys. Can you see? So it means this dress will jump by at the side, both sides by 6 inches. I'm about to cut the pockets. That's what this sketching is all about. It just dawned on me that I haven't shown you how many piece of fabrics I folded. So I folded two, one inside the other, and then I folded again. So I have this fabric on 4 folds. You will need two for each side pocket. This is the dress on the wrong side. So this is the sleeve. Remember I gave the sleeve 1 inch for hemming allowance, right? 1.5 inch. So I will mark the 1.5 inch. I'll connect together, go over to my sewing machine and stitch. Then I will repeat the same process on the other sleeve. I'm just going to fold like this. I will repeat this right here, the other sleeve. I'm going to mark 1.5 inch at this edge. I'll come to the other edge and mark 1.5 inch, and then I'll connect together. Then I'll go over to my sewing machine and stitch. This is what it looks like. This is the hem of the dress. I have hem it with a bias strip. I used a matching color. Of course, I expect you to use a matching color too. So this is what it looks like. This is a bias strip. I went ahead to pin the sides of my dress together from the roundness of the sleeve all the way to the hem of the dress. Remember that place that I notched, right? I came down by 1 inch from the waistline and then I notched it. So that's where the pocket is going to be. So I will um I will pin the pockets to the right side. Please take note of this. Pin it to the right side of your fabric and stitch. Remember I gave this dress just half-inch seam allowance, right? So I won't be using half-inch seam allowance to stitch the pocket. I will use just quarter of an inch, 1/4, to stitch it, and then when I'm done I will overlock it. If you give yours 1 inch seam allowance, you can use um half-inch, but I didn't give this much sewing allowance. So can you see I've stitched and I've overlocked. So after this I'll just top stitch. Push your rough side like this and top stitch. Repeat the same process for the other pockets and stitch. When you are done, you pin your fabric like this. Stitch with half an inch all the way. I've stitched and I've overlocked. Can you see? When I got here, I came down by half an inch and then I stitched all around the pocket and then I continued all the way to the hem of the dress. So this is the hem and this is the final result, guys. At this point, I would like to seize the opportunity to say that I see your comments, I see your likes, I see your subscriptions, and I am really grateful for your support. So till I see you in my next tutorial. Bye.